got Ken Ncuti, you got Ken Scott, you know, Ken Kingsley, Ken Simu, there's Allan, Michael Cera. And how are they Ken? They're just, you know, they're kenning all over the place. They're kenning all over each other. They're kenning everywhere. And they're kenning so hard that they're going to ken themselves blind if they don't stop kenning. She's just an incredibly generous, intuitive, brilliant person who inspires everybody around her. Margot she's wearing all the hats, literally and figuratively. She wears so many hats. And, you know, she's like able to do anything and up for everything. And it's an incredible thing to watch what she's done with this film. Especially in this film, the costumes are in a way everything. I mean, it's unless you're dressed for it, you're not doing it. So much about the doing is what you're wearing. And I know I've never had as many costume changes as this. And they're all so wildly different. And it's just a kind of, there's a meme out right now that says, you know, the costume designer for Barbie has a free pass to heaven. And I agree. The film is so many things, but it's really funny. It shows you in a way how to kind of laugh at yourself. It's so without judgment. It's a very like inclusive, kind of joyful experience, you know, and it's hella fun.
Allan is sort of like a person without a group that he belongs to. He's kind of a loner in a way, because I think the joke about that, as long as at least how I interpret it, is that Allan the doll, which was a real doll in the 60s, didn't have a very successful run. Like, wasn't a very widely loved toy. So I think the way that Greta and Noah handle that in the movie is that he's sort of this marginalized person in this world of Kens who is not like a huge success, basically. He's just a loner. I mean, that's another very playful concept, I think, that there are all these Barbies and Kens, and they're all Barbie and Ken, but they're all, even though they're called Barbie and Ken, completely unique and have their own identities and unique personalities. And that's been one of the most exciting things for me about this movie and being a part of it, was this cast and being around them and the energy. It's one of those movies where you just shoot a scene, shoot a take, and everybody just brings themselves to it and their rhythm, and the whole thing just feels like, you know, the movie's already there. You know, you kind of feel like you're already watching it, and you could just take any take and put that in the movie, and it's going to work. So it's been a really exciting group to be around. Margot as Barbie has been very exciting to watch. I mean, it's actually just been great to watch Margot working, because she's like incredible and so in control of everything she's doing, but like completely relaxed on set and having a good time. It's like really great to see someone who's just great at their job. And I feel the same way about Ryan. Watching Ryan be so inventive from take to take and just completely changing it up, but every take is great. And you just, you know, just being around people, and I could really say that about everybody in the cast, and being around people who are so good at what they do is just like inspiring, and yeah, it's really a good feeling to be around that. Well, I can't imagine anybody else directing it other than Greta. I mean, she's been so amazing, you know, wielding this enormous production with so many elements and this enormous production design and so many moving pieces. And, you know, in the midst of all that, she's so free and inventive and changing things. You know, doesn't seem like there's this enormous pressure on her to rein it in. Instead, she's like reveling in it and being playful and bringing so much to it. And really, that's a very infectious spirit, too, that the cast, I think, really can pick up on and feel like we can play and have fun. And, you know, and that makes everything loose and feel alive. Within such a, you know, such a massive production. So that's been very impressive and exciting to see. I guess what's relevant about it is sort of the conversation about how things change over time and how values change. And, you know, I mean, I don't really have a strong sense myself of kind of what the evolution of Barbie and what she has meant over the years. But I think when it first came out, it sort of was, an empowering figure for young girls, even though through the lens of time it seems, it doesn't seem like empowering in aligning with the values of what is empowering today. It feels like that has changed. And I think in the right direction, so I like the way that the movie comments on that, and the way that the Sasha character is kind of a very, like wise child actually, and has like a good inner value system that questions what her mother, like valued when she was a young girl, and it's not inspiring for her as a daughter. It's problematic.
I think Greta is every bit as amazing and incredible as, the Hollywood legends say. I think the thing that I really appreciate and admire about her is that there isn't an ounce of, pretentiousness in her body. I mean, she is such an amazing, daring filmmaker, but you would never know it just by talking to her. She's just kind of there socializing with everyone, cracking jokes, making fun of things, and she's the first person to laugh from behind a monitor. But that infectious energy, I feel like, seeps down from the top all the way through to everybody in the cast and the crew, and she brings that energy with her and also leads us with just such a unique and well-crafted vision. She was just kind of talking about what Ken was, who Kens were, I guess. And that was when she first kind of told me about this idea of like, the hierarchical structure of Barbie Land, and how the Barbies are the ones with all of the jobs and occupations, and the Kens just kind of are Kens. Like, they don't really do anything. They just kind of sit around and beach. And I thought that was just a really unique take on any movie. And I was, immediately I was curious about, okay, where's this going to go? And, she really took the Kens on an incredible journey. Even though the movie's name is Barbie, I think she manages to take the Kens on such an incredible and fun journey. And by the end of it, I was like, okay, sign me up. Where can I, how can I be a part of this movie? My Ken, I guess we can call him Ken Simu, is best described as, I think, a rival to Ryan. I think early on, there's a big block party dance sequence like the Barbies and Kens always have, and it's kind of revealed that my Ken is quite a good dancer, is quite a skilled dancer, and I think Ken Ryan really starts to resent that. One thing I really admired about Greta's interpretation of Barbie, of what kind of Barbie is that, in Barbie Land, everyone is the best version of themselves, but that doesn't mean that there is only one version of beautiful or one standard of beauty. It's, you truly see people of all shapes and sizes. We see differently abled Barbies and Kens, and it really just is a celebration of the individual, but in a way that is like so completely inclusive of everybody else. There's no discrimination in Barbie Land. There's no hatred or prejudice. It's just everyone is just automatically always the best version of themselves, and is always, everyone's always up for a party. So Ken Ryan is played by Canadian darling and sweetheart Ryan Gosling, and Ryan brings, I think, all of his incredible skill set to Barbie. I think it's used very, very well. Not to mention, he's got one of the most shredded Ken bods I've ever seen. I don't know that I've ever seen a real doll with that many abs, but here we are. No, Ryan is so great and such a thoughtful performer, and we've seen him in La La Land. He's an amazing dancer and an incredible singer, and I think he's able to kind of bring that all of that to full effect in this movie, and I was even taken aback. I mean, just hearing him sing on some of the Barbie tracks. Some of the high notes that he hit, I was like, man, that's odd. Like, this dude can really, really sing. He's, to say that he's a hero of mine would be a massive understatement. I mean, growing up in Canada, he's one of those success stories that you look up to, and just been a huge fan and follower of his career. And it was just a huge honor to get to meet him and and to play in this world. with
She's
him.
truly creative, truly collaborative. She really has created like an environment where we can try things and make mistakes. And I mean, it was everything I had hoped and thought she would be, and more. You know, it's a joy to be here. Everyone's in a great mood all day. There's constant laughter, and you're allowed to try things out, and there's the space to find it together. I don't exaggerate when I say it's really been the most like joyful working experience of my life. Margot's great. She's a real leader, and she's super focused, and I've spent days watching her do really, really difficult coverage and just nailing every take. And there was one scene in particular, I won't go into it, but I was really just stunned by her like commitment, and and was really moved like by her choices, and yeah, like Ryan as well. I've been a fan, and you know, a lot of Margot's work I've watched over the years and been like, yo, she can really do it, you know. So it's been great to be around that. It's wonderful to be around real actors and artists who take this seriously, and I've learned a lot.
I don't want this job to end, so I come in on my days off. How sad. Because it's just such a lovely, lovely, lovely job. And the cast do all get, I know that you hear a lot of productions saying that, like, oh my God, we're a little family, and I don't know, but it really does feel like that here. And yeah, we all kind of come in on our days off and like watch what's going on behind the cameras, and Greta's very welcoming of that, and like, you know, come in and join in on the madness and like be a part of this creation that we're creating. But yeah, we are all very supportive of what everyone's doing, and it just feels what Greta's done, she's an amazing alchemist. It just brings such amazing people into this project and into this space. And it does very much feel like a theatre troupe. Greta comes from theatre, and so I feel like has been very good at like unifying the group and creating an ensemble. Ryan Gosling is an angel that has been sent down to Earth, or has like landed on Earth, and is trying to figure out how to be a human being. That is what Ryan Gosling is, because when you look at him, like, there's such innocence in him, and yet such wisdom, and such strength, and yet such vulnerability, and such like kindness, but he's also contained, and just like he's just got a wonderful, wonderful energy, and I have really loved working with him and just like learning from him as an actor. I don't think that there's anything he can't play. I was like, what is his Ken going to be? What is Ken going to be like? And then you're just like, of course, that's Ken. She will have like 1,000,001 people around. Sound is here, makeup is here, costume is here. Like everyone is around it, and I'll watch. She's so emotionally in the scene. It's incredible. I don't know how she does it, to be so present within the scene and then yet still able to like be generous to everyone around her. And she's in all the scenes, and then at the end of the day we'll go in, she's exec in this film, so then it has to go and do meetings and budget our salaries and have to do that. And then on top of that, she's just the friendliest person. Like, will be like, come into my trailer and like and hang out and chill out. And there's been times in this job where I've had a lot of anxiety and a lot of like imposter syndrome, and just like a lot of anxiety. And Margot has just been so kind and generous and like really is like really there for us as well. There is so much diversity and it's so beautiful, and there's such a wide range of like genders, abilities, of races, as it should be, because like that's the line, the Barbie line from Mattel. Like there's Barbies of all kinds. Myself and Harry and Simu have spoken about that, about like having felt marginalized before in our lives, and I think, you know, Barbie and Ken, they provide they are like the standard what to be is like the narrative that surrounds those two dolls. And like for marginalized people, it's kind of been like, oh, is that our story? And so it feels nice to be a part of this project that is like, this is everyone's story.
I was blown away with the concept. I think it's going to be a movie that all audiences enjoy. I think it's going to be a movie that evokes conversation. And I think it's going to be beautifully visually appealing. And I think the ideas behind it, I think the audience will walk away with like a mixed bag of opinions, which I think is the greatest form of entertainment, when you have like one universal feel about a project. It's not that that's bad, but I think when people can get into fiery debate about something, I think that that's good. I like that, versatility, I guess.
One of my very first days working here was in a rehearsal for one of the big dance sequences. And I remember walking in and just seeing there were 50 Barbies in the room, that dancer Barbies in the room, and I've never seen a more colorful, diverse room in my life. I saw Barbies, of all shapes and sizes, of all races. I saw Barbies in wheelchairs and Barbies with prosthetics, and it was just sort of like the most. It was extremely overwhelming. I get overwhelmed right now. It was extremely overwhelming, just because I remember, as a white man, there's not too many opportunities for me to grow up to be like, oh, I wasn't represented on screen. Like, of course, I was very represented on screen, but when it comes to being a gay man, I wasn't, and never really saw that. And to look around and see in this cast specifically, in the main Ken and Barbie cast, I think there's like 4 or 5 of us that are members of the LGBTQ plus community, and it's just like, I've never been in a project or on a set, let alone with that many from that community specifically. So for me personally, that means so much to me. And then, when you just look at the wide span of races and sizes, it sort of just like makes me feel good. When I read the script, I was like, that's going to be a fun part. What a fun part. I just cannot believe what Ryan is doing day in and day out. There is never a take that's the same. There's never an idea that's not funny. There's never a delivery that's not perfect. He is, I think people are going to be incredibly pleasantly surprised by his performance in this, and I just with what you see on the page, with an incredibly fun role to begin with, versus what he's taken and gone and run with, it's just something magical. Margot is she just illuminates the screen. Like, just when you see her up there, it's sort of just like, God, you're perfect, and not in a way that's like, oh, that's Barbie, it's perfect, like how people like would think, which is what I initially thought, and obviously still do think, because she is. But man, she embodies this role and what it means, what this role is going to mean to a billion little girls and a billion women out there. And I think there's honestly no one better that should be playing this part. Based on what the movie is about, I think it truly is, and God, it's like super cliche to be like, it is a movie for all ages and all genders and all, but it truly is. There is, and it's not just something for everybody. There is a movie there for little kids. There is a movie there for adults. There is a movie there for men, for women, for everybody out there. And a full movie, not just you're gonna like little bits and pieces. It's such a well put together, thought out project and story that I think everybody was going to have a great time, and not just fun because they're singing and dancing, but I think you're gonna get a lot out of it.